Hi, I'm Daryl Mitchelhill from Gallagate Shots, and this is My United. My first game was in February 2003, and it was Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 3. Sorry, I should say that the other way around. But so it was a Champions League game. We went with my best mate Paul as part of his birthday present, and got to see Shearer score a hat-trick in my first game, so I was really chuffed about that, and a memorable night for all sorts of reasons, including the Bayer Leverkusen player rolling off a stretcher when he was being taken off. Back in the days when we were high-flying championship title contenders, and Champions League football was the norm then. Great. My favourite goal would be Patrice Cissé's second against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Just the sheer audacity to even try that, and it was almost like the way he hit it. It was like, I'm fed up with this game and I'm tired, so he just absolutely thumped it, and the physics on it just bent the way it did, and just absolutely outfoxed Peter Cech. And I mean, I nearly took the roof off the house when he scored. I was watching it on a dodgy stream at the time, and like if you remember back, there's a little bit of footage from the 5 Live studio of Steve Claridge going in absolute shock, and he just goes completely speechless, and I was like the opposite, and I just couldn't contain me delight at the fact that he'd done it, and it was just outrageous. And I think he was robbed of goal of the season that season for that goal by I'm forgetting who it was now, but he was definitely robbed. Absolutely. My favourite player growing up is very easy to say Shearer, Beardsley, but I'm saying Nobby Solano. Nobby Solano was, I don't know, it was just something about him. He's a proper little character, and you hear all the stories about the trumpet and a bit of a South American flair. Probably one of the only good things that Kenny Dalglish did for the club was bringing him in, and I think he created a lot of Alan Shearer's goals for him, and he was a dab-handed a free kick. You had him and Robert seem to complement each other on either side, and brought a lot of balance to that team as we got into the new millennium. And I don't know, he's like I say, it's just his character, and he really warmed to the area and took a lot of people's hearts, including mine. Favourite game attended? Ooh, I think that would probably be Barnsley at home, the last day of the championship season under Rafa. Just high emotions, and were we really expecting to actually walk away with the championship title? Not really. The hope was there, but everybody expected Aston Villa and Brighton. Everybody expected Villa to get something. Not Villa. Everybody expected Brighton to get something from Villa. And Jack Grealish came up with the goods right at the end, and I think it was Robbie Stockdale was in goal at the time, and he fumbled it. We did our job. I mean, we had a fantastic game here against Barnsley, and I think we beat them 3-1 or 3-0. It wasn't spoiling our party, and you had Dwight Gale reeling off with a celebration with the up and the down. But yeah, and I mean the absolute roar at full time when we found out that Aston Villa had got an equaliser was just magic, and I think it's something that'll stay with us for the rest of my life. My favourite kit, I've got to give shout outs to 95-96 home. I've also got to give a shout out to 2011-12. The first part when we had the Northern Rock sponsor before it changed to Virgin Money. That was a season where I had bought all 3 kits because I love the orange and I love the black with the white highlights as well. But my favourite kit out of all of them is definitely 2004-05 with the blue Northern Rock sponsor on the black and white. I think he's just fell off the wall actually. It was Bobby, had to be Bobby. He was manager when I started going. Really, with my love for the club really igniting in those early years when I started going to games. Bobby was the key figure, sort of like your granddad at the time. Sort of like your granddad that wasn't your relation, but the elder statesman, and you had a lot of respect for him and what he'd done in the game and what he was doing for us at the time with the type of football we were producing and the heights we were going to, and just really sad that it never worked out. And I think as much as a lot of us were probably calling for his head at the time, he was actually sacked. I think in hindsight we know that was probably the wrong decision, and he certainly should have stayed in the club in some capacity when he left. This is a tough one for me. A player that broke my heart would be probably Johan Cabaye. I know he left under a pretty dark cloud, having wanted to force a move through to PSG, but he made that side tick. I was very privileged to be at West Ham when he scored his last 2 goals for the club. And a great away day at the time. I think he had a free kick, and I think he had, I don't know if they were both free kicks or not, but he certainly had a free kick in front of us in the second half, and he just put it away in typical Cabaye fashion. Where I'd seen it in previous games against Man United and the like. And it really, it was really sad to see him go. And I think we lost a lot of momentum when we lost him. Moment that broke my heart, it's very easy for us to say the first relegation in 2009. I hadn't put myself into a situation, but I was visiting friends down in Yorkshire at the time for my mate's 21st, and we went to the club the following day to watch the last day's football. So there I am, surrounded by a mixture of Leeds fans and my mate who was a West Ham fan, and watching Aston Villa score with a scuffed shot that deflected in off Damien Duff and just crept agonising into the bottom corner, much to Steve Harper's dismay as he tried to desperately get across and claw it wide. It was the game where you had all that stuff with Aston Villa and the banners in the stand, who's their next Messiah, and deck and so on the Tyne and all that rubbish. And I felt like I wanted the ground to open up and swallow us where I was in that club. And it took everything I had in us to not show any signs of weakness and cry for that. It was such a gut-wrenching moment. I mean, I could give a shout out as well to any of the derbies that I've been to, because I've never seen we win a derby in person, which is probably why I shouldn't go to any more in the future. We've seen some horrible results. And I would also say it was a game at home against Liverpool, and we got absolutely trounced 6-0, and I don't know why, but I stayed to the very end, and I think it was sort of like an ultimate test of how much punishment I'm prepared to put myself through following Newcastle United. Moment I won't forget, I mean, I would go back to that last game of the season against Barnsley in the Championship season under Rafa, but being down at the KCOM Stadium when Alan Pardew headbutted David Miller on the touchline. I mean, we were there at the time. I mean, we won the game 4-1 in the end, and it had something, we'd sort of noticed something had happened, but we weren't quite sure what at the time, and we're like, what's going on here, what's he done? And then you find out, early days of Twitter at the time, and it's like, he's headbutted him. What? He's actually headbutted him, and you cannot really believe it at the time, and it's like, if he's done that, then he's got to be sacked surely. And we had already started to turn on him at that point, and it seemed like the perfect opportunity for him to actually leave the club. But I just won't forget that. It's something that totally sticks in my mind. My favourite current player is really tough to answer, because I like the character of Matt Ritchie, and I also really admire the talent that Alan St Maximin has. You know what, I'm going to stick with the goalkeepers union and go with Martin Dubravka. Since he made his debut against Man United, it just showed that, going into that game, you wouldn't have thought we needed a new goalkeeper. You would have thought we're quite well blessed in that department, and as soon as he came in and had that debut, you thought, actually, we were all wrong about this. We needed a new goalkeeper, and Dubravka was the answer, and I'm just really glad that he's still here and he's still proving that point again and again. And I know he has his moments, as do all goalkeepers. But yeah, I'm glad that he's still here, and it's definitely Martin Dubravka. I'm Daryl Mitchelhill for Gallagher Shots, and this is my United. Poor Bobby, coming down off the wall. His frame's gone.